I want to read you something I read this week. This is a labour hire firm in the US, and they did a survey on a mother's job, and they tried to put it into words. This is what they said. Being a mother is widely considered more demanding than the standard full-time job, with research suggesting it's the equivalent to 2.5 full-time jobs, or roughly 98 to 112 hours per week. This is unpaid. 24/7 role involves managing intense duties from at least 6:17 a.m. until 8:37 p.m. That's pretty precise, isn't it? You cover roles like chef, cleaner, chauffeur and caregiver. There are no breaks, there are no holidays or no time off. Then this little cracker of a sentence. If you're fortunate, you might have a helpful partner, or if unfortunate, have yet another child to look after. Stop laughing, that's not funny. Parenting isn't that easy, is it? Parenting is easy when you're a teenager and you're trying to tell your parents how to do it. But parenting, it's a huge responsibility. And no matter how much you prepare for it, you'll never be ready for parenting. And no matter how long you've parented for, you still feel inadequate. Today I want to look at the story of a mum in the Bible, and I don't know her name, but I'm really impressed with her faith and the way that she moved Jesus. Jesus actually said to her, "You have great faith." What better thing can you say for a mum than you're a mum with great faith? And this was said to this lady today. That's a pretty good recommendation. So I'm going to read to you from Matthew 15, starting at verse 21. Leaving that place, Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. A Canaanite woman from that vicinity came to him, crying out, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is demon-possessed and suffering terribly." But Jesus didn't answer her a word. So his disciples came to him and urged him, "Can you send her away, because she keeps on crying out?" He answered, "I was only sent to the lost sheep of Israel." The woman came and knelt before him and said, "Lord, help me. Help me. I need your help." He replied, "It's not right to take the children's bread and to toss it to the dogs." "Yes, it is, Lord," she said. "Even the dogs eat crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus said to her, "Woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted." And her daughter was healed at that very moment. Now, this is one of those outrageous passages in the Gospels that when you read it, you say, "Wow, what's going on here?" Think about it. The mother came to Jesus with a request to heal her daughter. His very first response is, "I'm going to ignore her." Didn't say anything back. Then when she kept on annoying them, he kind of inferred she was a dog. It's not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs. This passage has always fascinated me, but when you understand what's going on here, what you see is a parent of great faith who would do anything to see her daughter made whole. And you see a saviour who has great compassion and responds to the woman's desperation and her great faith. So let me set the scene up for you. It says, leaving that place, Jesus withdrew to Tyre and Sidon. Now, he just performed a great miracle, feeding 5,000 people with 5,000 plus people with fish and a couple of little scones. And then he had a run-in with some religious leaders. So he got out of Israel and he went to the region of Tyre and Sidon, which is north of Israel. Two cities, Phoenician cities, they were a no-go zone for Jews. So for Jesus to be there in Tyre and Sidon in the first place, it was considered to be hell on earth. A pagan territory, it was unclean territory. So any Jew that went there were widely regarded as being unclean before God just because they set foot in the region. So it was no place to go. So here they were in a place they should not be because it's ungodly and unclean, speaking to a Canaanite woman. What's worse than being in Tyre and Sidon than actually speaking to a woman? Now, if you're a Jewish male and you're in that region, which you shouldn't be in, and a woman comes and speaks to you, the right thing to do, the religious thing to do, is to ignore her. That is the right thing to do. Don't acknowledge her existence. And that's exactly what Jesus did. He did the right thing according to Jewish custom. He completely ignored her. So he wasn't being rude or arrogant when he did that. And when the disciples saw him ignoring her, they would have breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness for that. We shouldn't even be here. And he always does this, and he always talks to people he shouldn't, and finally he's doing the right thing. He's ignoring her. And they would have breathed a sigh of relief. But this woman didn't get it. And she kept on persisting, and on she went. And Jesus, heal my daughter. And it made the disciples uncomfortable. And so they said, send her away, tell her to go. That was the correct thing to do. Tell her to go. I can't explain how bad this is for a Canaanite woman to be speaking to a Jewish man. It was really bad. And he's in the wrong place to start with. And usually Jewish people would call Canaanites dogs. Send the dog away is probably what they would have said, because that's how they referred to them. They referred to them as dogs, wild dogs. So it was the proper thing to do to say, get away, get away. And then Jesus said, I only came for the lost sheep of Israel. And the disciples would have thought, oh, thank goodness for that, because his usual trick is to talk to people like this. He's not going to do anything stupid this time. He has a history of engaging with people he shouldn't engage with. And so when he said that, they thought this is probably the end of it. But then the mother, so desperate for her daughter. I want you to imagine the scene now. She's not supposed to be there talking to him. He's not supposed to be talking to her. And she comes in front of him and kneels in front of him. Now, the interesting thing is, she's actually calling him son of David, acknowledging his lordship. So she knew something about Jesus and she had faith. And she knelt down in front of him and begged him, please. Isn't that just like a mother? Please help me. And I imagine as she did that, you couldn't hear a pin drop. You could hear a pin drop in the room. Because here is a woman doing what she should not be doing, and Jesus looking down at her, and she's begging, please help me. I'm in desperation for my daughter. Then the response that he gave is one of the most compassion-filled sentences you will ever read in the Bible. He looked down at her, and remember, Canaanites are dogs to the Jews. That was their common term. He looked down at her and he said, it's not right to take the children's bread, which is for the Israelites, and toss it to the dogs. Now you can read that and think, what's he saying here? He's calling her a dog. That's so insulting. But he's actually giving her hope. Because he didn't use the word commonly for wild dogs that you chase away. He actually used the word for your pet dog that you love. On the screen you see Evelyn to the left. You see Wolfgang. You see Zebby, that's my old dog, to the right. Do you know this? Last night, what did we have for dinner, Carls? I can't remember. We had something really nice. Japanese curry. I always make sure there's leftovers. So two of those dogs, my dogs, got Japanese curry. The night before we had roast beef and gravy, roast chicken, gravy, roast vegetables. Those dogs had a roast meal for dinner. Where's Lynn Peter? She'd be disgusted by that. Why? Because they aren't just dogs. They are my dogs. They're my puppies. Daphne, you're nodding away. You understand this, don't you? They are family. And when the dog on the right, Zebby, he got really sick and I knew his death was imminent, I went out in the yard on a mattress and slept with him the night just so he wouldn't be lonely. Then he died on my birthday, on the morning of my birthday, and I went to bed and cried all day. Carly thought, what's he doing? They're my dogs. The word that Jesus used when he said it's not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs, he wasn't saying those mongrel dogs that you chase away. He was saying those dogs that eat from your table. It's not right to give bread and toss it to the dogs that you love that are part of your family. Far from insulting her, he was giving her hope. And it was a Jew saying, is it right for me to give to the ones that are part of our family that we love? And straight away she got it. She understood what Jesus was saying. He wasn't saying, is it right for me to give it to a mongrel dog? What he was saying is it right for me to give it to the dog we love who eats from my table? And trust me, when Carly's away, my dogs eat from my table. You know this. And so her classic reply is, yes, it is, Lord. It is good. Even the dogs, these dogs, eat the crumbs, eat the roast chicken and gravy and pumpkin that come from their master's table. He was actually saying, the ones that we love that are part of our family, and she was straight onto it. Yeah, it is right, because we're part of your family. And when she said that, Jesus said, you have great faith. Now imagine a Jewish leader and the Son of God saying to a Canaanite, you have great faith. The disciples would have been shocked. But here's Jesus talking to the Canaanite as though she's not a dog, but she's a valued family member. You have great faith. And her daughter was immediately healed. And it gave me goosebumps to think of the incredible compassion shown by Jesus when compassion wasn't expected, but also the extraordinary passion of a mother wanting to see her daughter made whole. So just a few points about this mother, because we don't know her name. She's a woman of great faith, but we don't know her name. One day we will. Get to heaven, I'm looking for that woman. I'm going to tell her I love dogs too. And we're going to talk about this encounter. Because there are a couple of things. Number one is what she was willing to do for her daughter. She was willing to do whatever it takes. I'll do whatever it takes to save my daughter. That's what mums do, don't they? Mums do whatever it takes to see their kids made whole, to see their kids achieve, to see their kids happy. And her daughter was demon-possessed and suffering terribly. There can be nothing worse than for a mum to watch their child suffer terribly. And she'd seen it and she knew what it was, and she made her daughter's problem her problem. She took it on herself and she said, I take matters into my own hands. And when you think of what she did to see her daughter get relief, as a Canaanite woman going to a Jewish leader and saying, Lord, Son of David, have mercy. And she was a woman and she was told to go away. And they said, can you send her away? And then she got on her knees and said, please help. The desperation, all the barriers she had to cross just to approach Jesus. And then her desperation. And I love it when it says the woman came and knelt before him. Lord, help me. A mother will do anything. The desperation of a parent, that's what parents do. When I think of my own mum, my mum passed away 12 years ago. But what my mum did for me, I know the story. When I was 18 months old, I got multiple bee stings on my leg when I was just a toddler, and mum couldn't drive. She walked straight to the hospital in Toowoomba, which is about 7k away. She carried me to the hospital so I could get treated. And I had a staph infection in my leg, a really big staph infection when I was 13, and the doctor had to drain it. And then for the next 2 weeks, someone had to pack it with gauze and clean it out. And Mum went the first day with me to the doctor, but then said, why can't I do that? I'll do that at home. And so it was a horrible job, but she loved me. It's what mums do. The day before my mum died, so my mum had cancer, went into hospital, and I was the last family member to actually talk to her. I went in on the Monday morning, Mum was barely conscious. And her words, her only words to me, what do you think they'd be? I'm speaking to her for the very last time. She said, did you eat dinner last night? Are you okay? I said, yes, Mum, I ate dinner. What did you have? I had toasted mince and cheese sandwiches, and I fed Dad as well. Okay, make sure you look after yourself. That was the last word she said. Not about her, it's about me. That's what parents do. They will do anything to see their children be all that they can. And this woman just wanted her child to be well. She also never gave up. She kept praying and praying and praying. Her persistence is incredible. To be told to go away by the disciples, and she ignored it, and she kept going and going. And when she first approached Jesus, he ignored her. And she kept going, and then the disciples said, send her away, and she kept going, and she talked to Jesus, and then she finally got on her knees, and the persistence. One of the things that parents do is they don't give up on their children, no matter how far they go away. They don't give up on their children. And for this mother, it was to see her daughter delivered from demon possession. For parents, it could be whatever it is, relationship, or they just don't give up on their kids. And I know that there are mums and grandmums and great-grandmums in this congregation today who have grandchildren and great-grandchildren who are far from God. Don't give up. Keep persisting, keep praying, because parents don't give up. Let me tell you, if you're a parent here today and you're praying for your child, keep believing, keep being persistent. Don't give up on God. Because I'm certain that God sees something special in the love of a mum or a grandmother or a great-grandmother for their children. He sees something special in that. And don't give up on your child. Don't give up on God. Jesus said, you have great faith. Who did you have faith in? She had faith in God. And she just kept on going, kept on believing, kept on praying. And we believe being a parent is actually a spiritual task. Because we believe that having kids is a God-given thing. And then having kids and then raising them to be kids who love God, it's difficult. And the problem with kids is they have their own mind. I wish when they got to the age of 25 that you could just tell them, you're doing this. But especially if they're girls, they tend to tell you, no, I've got an opinion of my own. All you can do is pray. Sometimes that's all you've got left, is to pray. But then Jesus said to this woman, you have great faith. So I'm telling you, if you're a parent here today, if you're a mum or a grandmum or a great-grandmum and you're praying for someone in your family, have faith in God, because he's in control. And I don't know why, if God invented parenting, why didn't he make it easy? But it is what it is. But he will help us. So keep praying, keep praying, keep praying, keep believing. And in the end, she saw breakthrough. How do you think she was when Jesus said to her, I love your faith? And at that very moment, her daughter was healed. How was she when she went home and saw her daughter was totally well? Like, for a parent, it's funny that I'd rather be happy for my kids than happy for myself. I get more satisfaction celebrating my kids than celebrating what I do. I went to the footy with my son this week. Unexpectedly, he bought me a ticket to the Bulldogs game the other night because we love the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs got thrashed. But I'm sitting there with my son and he says, you like going to the footy with me, Dad, don't you? I would rather go to the footy with my son than anyone in the world. Just to sit there with my son. And so she saw the breakthrough. She saw the miracle. Woman, you have great faith. Imagine how she felt. Like I said, as parents, you wish you could run your kids' lives. You can when they're 2, 3, up to 5. If they're like Anna, she had an opinion at 6, which was a bit early, but that's just the way it was. But don't give up on the God factor. Never give up on the God factor. For this mum, all she had left was to pray for her kid. All she had left was to pray. And she did it and saw a breakthrough. Keep living your Christian life to the full. Keep praying for your grandkids, your great-grandkids, your kids. Don't give up on God. There's a great story that I love. I'll just tell it to you briefly. There was a mum called Elizabeth Newton who loved God with all her heart, and she lived in England in the 1700s, and she taught her son the Bible, and she prayed for him, and she prayed, I pray that John would become a pastor and a preacher. And she prayed it, but she died when her son was just 7. And then he became a sailor, went to sea at 11, and his life went downhill, and he ended up being a crew member on a slave ship, and his behaviour was so bad that the slave ship crew and captain put him off on the coast of Africa. You're too bad for us. And so he was eventually rescued and went back to sea, and then finally captained his own slave ship. And this is 50 years after his mother died, and she prayed, I pray that he becomes a preacher and a pastor. Well, he got to the stage in his life where he cried out to God and said, God, I've had enough, save me. And God did, saved him, and he gave up slaving and became a church pastor. Then he wrote the hymn, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved, that famous hymn. A mother had been praying 50 years before for a son. And then after he'd been a pastor for a while, a young politician named William Wilberforce started talking to John Newton. And William Wilberforce was greatly mentored by Newton, and Newton said, one thing we can do for God is abolish the slave trade. And Wilberforce was in Parliament. And for years and years and years, Wilberforce kept putting forward bills to abolish the slave trade, and John Newton was at the forefront of that. And then finally, in 1807, the slave trade was abolished in the British Empire. 6 months later, John Newton passed away. He got to see the slave trade abolished. He was a man who went so far from God, but the prayers of his mother when he was young were effective. Don't give up on your kids, keep praying. Because who knows what God can do? And even when you pass away, your prayers can be effective. All those grandmothers that put up their hand, and great-grandmothers, you know what I'd love? I'd love for you to be watching from eternity when your grandkids do great things for God, because your prayers were effective. This mum, all hope seemed lost, but there was a place she could go. She could go to Jesus. And her faith saw a breakthrough that was life-changing. Don't give up on your kids. Don't give up on your grandkids. Keep praying. Have faith, because you can see the breakthrough. And God will give you the strength to pray. So don't give up as a mum or a dad. Why don't you stand with me? We're going to pray. On this Mother's Day, God, I see the love and passion of this lady. And it inspires me to be a better parent, to love my kids like that, to be willing to say, I'll give up everything just to see them accomplish something for God. God, help us to never give up on our kids, our grandkids, our great-grandkids, our family. Help us to have the faith that says, God, I believe in you. And I believe that I can see breakthrough. Even if it's 50 years after I pass away, I can see breakthrough, and I can see my kids discover God for themselves. May I have faith like that, and may I realise that I'm praying to a compassionate God who sees my prayer and is moved by it. I pray that I would be someone that God says, look at that great faith, as he prays for his kids and his grandkids to come, and his great-grandkids as they leave a legacy for God. Lord, I pray that I'd have faith. And for mothers here today, for mothers who are praying for their kids, whether it's something physical or mental or spiritual, I pray that today their faith would rise again as they persistently pray. For grandmothers here who love their grandkids and just want them to know Jesus, I pray that we'd see breakthrough and answer to prayer. For great-grandmums, I pray we'd see the joy of them seeing their prayers answered in later life. Lord, bless our mums, and I pray that we'd appreciate them. I pray that we would realise again today the sacrifice they made for us. And it'd make us thankful. And I'm thankful for my mum, even though she's gone. I'm thankful for all that she did for me. So Lord, bless mums, grandmums, great-grandmums today, I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.